Hi everyone, my name is Lana. Today I want to tell you about how my foster sister bullied me and did everything to make my own parents hate me. Have you experienced this kind of thing? Do you have foster siblings? What's your relationship with them? My adopted sister's name is Jacqueline. She is 8 years older than me. My parents adopted her before I was born. My mom told me that they thought they couldn't have children, so they decided to adopt. And after a couple of years, my mother suddenly fell pregnant. Thus, there were 2 daughters in our family. Jackie was different from me. Well, I can see why. I grew up outgoing, loving life, my parents, and even Jackie. But she always pretended to be gothic. Her horrible piercings sometimes were just scary, but she liked them. She spent hours circling her eyes with black pencil, a lot of it, so you could barely see her eyes. "Jackie, my girl, why don't you not line your eyes so heavily?" "I like it. But you have a pretty face, let's not do that." "Don't pretend you care, Mom." Jackie always ended the conversations with that sentence, and then she slammed the door and left. "Don't worry, Mom, Jackie's a teenager. No one understands her, doesn't love her or accept her." "Oh, my girl, you're smart beyond your years, much wiser than your peers. Thank you for your support." "Okay, I'm off to music class. See you." "Love you." "And I love you." My sister hated such tenderness, considered it superfluous, and refused not only to show, but also to accept love in any form. It seemed to me that Jackie was just like that, a loner. My birthday and hers were celebrated on the same day, because my birthday was June 15th and hers was June 14th. Usually on my sister's birthday, we'd have dinner at home, and then on the second day, we'd have guests over. I understand it was less costly in terms of money, so that's what we did, especially since Jacqueline hated her birthday. And last year, she did the strangest thing. We woke up on my birthday. As usual, the house was a mess. Everyone was getting ready for the barbecue and the guests, and Jackie wouldn't even get out of bed. "What are you doing? Come on, it's our birthday." "You mean your birthday party?" "Why mine? It's ours." "Forget it. It doesn't matter." "Come on, we've got guests coming. Let's get ready together." "Do it without me. No one will notice my absence anyway." "Why do you say that? We get presents together every year." "You can have mine. I don't like anything anyway." "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing. Get away from me. Why the hell do I have to deal with you my whole life? Walking around like a shadow of you like I don't even exist? How am I any worse? You ruined my whole life." "What? What are you talking about?" Then my mother came into the room. She asked me to leave the room and stay to talk to Jacqueline. I couldn't hear them talking, but Jackie ran out into the street in her gym clothes, crying. So the day went by without her. She arrived late at night and went to bed without a word. The next day, while I was at school, my mother called me very upset. It turned out that I had forgotten to turn off the water in the bathroom, and it almost caused a flood. I ran home to make amends. I decided to make a meat pie like my mom likes. A classmate called me and I went out to chat on the phone, and when I came back into the kitchen, the pie was burnt. I was so scared. My mom ran out of the bedroom, and I got hit on the head for almost burning the house down. This made it worse. A day later, my mom asked me to go to the store to buy something, so Jacqueline and I went. When I got home, I found my mom's credit card was gone. I'd lost it, and that's when my mom blew up. "What is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?" I cried. I didn't know what to say, and I ran off to my room. The next morning, I asked my father to use his car to go to the pool with the girls, as we'd agreed. Here, as far as I remember, I parked okay, but when I came back, the bumper on the car was torn off. That was it. I knew I was screwed. I called my dad, and he freaked out. He said he'd never trust me with his car again. I came home, and the scandal continued. I went to take a bath, and when I came out, my parents were screaming with even more anger. "Is that what you've decided to do now? What's wrong with you? Not only did you break the bumper, but you also decided to scratch my bodywork?" "What? What are you talking about?" "Don't pretend. You cut up my favorite expensive dress because I punished you fair and square? Just like that, you decided to take revenge on me." "I didn't do anything. I was in the bathroom. It must have been Jacqueline. She just got home. Unlike you, she's being modest and quiet, especially these last few days. I knew it was her, because modesty and Jackie are two different things. Of course, I made a scandal in the room with my sister. She denied everything, but at the same time, she seemed too content. A day later, we went to my grandmother's house for her birthday. That's when I hatched a grand revenge plan. Grandma treated both of us well, but me better. I did everything right, pleased and praised. Jacqueline was straining hard. My parents didn't notice anything. After an hour, I called everyone to sit down at the table, and while my parents and grandmother washed up, I took the meat pie out of the oven, and I noticed Jackie putting something in the salad. There you go, sister. Back off, you can't prove anything. I will destroy you. I'm curious to know how. I opened my smartphone and showed her a video of her scratching our dad's car, turning the oven on full blast, looking for our mom's credit card in her purse. Why didn't you show our parents? They'll scold you and that's it. I want more. And what's that? For you to go back to boarding school. What? They don't need you here. I'm their daughter and they won't give me up. But you're a burden, a hindrance, and you don't fit into our family. You son of a bitch! Jacqueline came at me and started pulling my hair, and I screamed like a maniac. It was a brutal fight. I took the first spoon I could find and hit my sister in the forehead with it, and she screamed and kicked me in the stomach. Then my parents came running in and separated us, screaming. My hair was disheveled, my breath was like a dog's, my eyes were red with anger. You're not worthy of this family! You're nothing at all! Go back to your biological parents! Say that again! Jacqueline, no! Go to hell! Jackie, you promised. The hell with it. You know what, Lana? If I leave here, you're coming with me because you're just like me. Adopted. What kind of nonsense is that? Jackie! No way! Listen to me, you ruined my life. You and I are from the same orphanage, Lana. You were always loved more because you were little, but we were sisters and they didn't want to separate us. I wanted to find my mom, but you were adopted and they took me with you. The day we were supposed to meet our real mom, you got sick and I had to carry you in my arms. I looked for a doctor in town for an hour, and I was the same age as you are now. At the boarding school, they didn't want to treat you. They said you were too weak, but I didn't give up. I wanted you to live. I wanted us to live with our real mother. I listened to her, and my eyes filled with tears. I looked at her, listening, taking in every word. Is it true? It's true. And where is she now? Where's Mom? She was sick. She's gone. My parents were silent, and my grandmother too. Why didn't you tell me anything? Because they wanted to raise you with new memories, and I was ignored. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been adopted at all. Don't say that. You're just as much a daughter as Lana, and if old memories can't be erased, then new memories can be made. Jacqueline, every night I brush your hair with a special balm because you're allergic to the others. You love scrambled eggs with a whole yolk, and you hate cocoa. Mom cried and kept saying, when you were 5 years old, you got sick. You had cramps. My dad and I drove halfway across town in 15 minutes looking for a doctor, and She couldn't talk because she was crying so much. We were afraid of losing you. That day, Mom said she couldn't live if you were gone. After that, she trained in the ambulance to give first aid to children, so she wouldn't let that happen again. We listened to this and cried together. Jacqueline was sobbing so much that all her black eyeliner washed away. She let me hold her in my arms for the first time ever. It's scary to think how many years she lived with the thought that she wasn't wanted, that she wasn't a beloved child. In the face of all this, the idea that I was adopted didn't even make me uncomfortable. I was even somehow relieved to know that Jackie and I were real siblings. This conversation, which had been building up for a long time, did happen. And then we sat down and ate the pie I had made together.
Hi there, my name is Eliza. I had a huge shock not so long ago, and it made me really nervous. It's all about my sister, or rather the fact that my parents deprived me and left me with nothing. This is so unfair. I think you understand me, because many of my friends also do not get along very well with their brothers and sisters, but I have a slightly different case, because we are not related. Well, in general, now I will tell you everything in more detail. While you watch, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to write your opinion under the video. I'll read them all. As I said, I have a sister, and she is my half-sister. How did this happen? I was born the only child in the family. We have never been very poor. On the contrary, I always got everything I wanted. My parents spared no expense on me, but in return, they both worked hard and spent almost no time with me. At first, I was worried about this, but then I got used to it and even found advantages in the fact that they were not around. They bought me everything. No birthday or Christmas passed without me getting gifts. When I grew up, the amount of expenses increased. And so, on the last recent holiday, they gave me the car that I asked for. Yes, I was very happy. We were going to get together after Christmas and celebrate the holiday properly. Our maid prepared the food, I dressed up and waited for my parents for dinner. The doorbell rang in the house. I ran to open it in joy and saw a girl I didn't know. She was a little older than me, and she looked cocky and overconfident. I didn't like the look of her, so I asked her what she wanted, and she came into the house, sat down at the table, took off her gloves, and introduced herself. "My name is Ariana. I'm your sister," she said. These words sounded like a threat, and I thought it was some kind of stupid joke. It can't be, because I was the only one in the family. I told her to get the hell out of there to avoid trouble with the police, and then she said she wasn't going anywhere, that her father would come and explain everything. Then the doorbell rang and my parents came in. They reacted to Ariana as if they had known her for a long time. I realized that I was about to have a long, unpleasant conversation. My father kissed us, my mother sat down next to me, and they told me that Ariana would now live with us because she was my half-sister. Her mother recently died due to illness, so now she will live with us because she is my father's daughter. I gave my mother a surprised look, and she looked as if she'd accepted the news long ago and wasn't even the least bit embarrassed. I was so angry. What kind of right does she have to just barge into my house and pump my license? Ariana began to eat and then said that now she would choose a room for herself and she moved in next to me. The staff brought her suitcases and I realized that this is really not a prank, that this is real. My spirits sank at once. I asked my father how it happened, and he said that he used to be married, that my mother is his second marriage and she knew about it perfectly well. In short, only I did not know. As soon as I imagined that I would now have to see her face every day, I felt sick. But it turned out that the worst was yet to come. Somehow a week passed, we kept bumping into each other in the bathroom. She spent hours making up, washing, and it bothered me. In general, I tried to pretend that she wasn't there. She didn't want to talk to me either. Ariana would kind of accidentally push me. I always did stuff in return. She came to my school and tried to get all the attention. She wagged her tail in front of all our boys at school, pretended to be pretty in front of the teachers and my friends. They even doubted at some point that she was so bad, as I said. She managed to be the best in her class, but not in mine. I didn't let her. A second week passed, then a month. I shared this news with my friends and they just sympathized. Well, after Christmas, my father gathered us all together again for dinner, and there was another conversation to be had. I was sitting in a bad mood and sarcastically asked, "Is there another child behind the door?" My father obliquely looked at me and then told me that now in their business with Mother, there are big difficulties and risk, and it would be necessary to temporarily transfer part of the property to someone. And I assumed it would be to me because I was the rightful heir. "We will transfer your fortune to Ariana and then return it back," he said, adding that these were necessary measures. What? You want to leave me with nothing? I was indignant, and a sly smile spread on Ariana's face. My parents immediately tried to calm me down, but I didn't even want to listen. You see, Ariana is already of age. She has no loans, no debts, and she has almost nothing to do with our family. It still didn't calm me down. Can't my parents see how mean and cunning she is? How can they trust her that much? But Mom and Dad wouldn't even listen. The very next day, a lawyer came to us and they gave my entire fortune to her. I was ready to explode. And Ariana was even more smug. I said through my teeth that I wouldn't let them take everything away from me. So she whispered, "I've already taken everything," and then went to her room. She then took the keys to my car and said that it was hers now too. My father didn't even want to hear about conflicts. He insisted that we should be friends with each other, but I didn't need such a nasty sister. And what do you think happened next? After a couple of weeks, we had strange purchases in the house. She ordered new furniture, sold my car, and bought another one. Ariana did not deny herself anything. But why did I see everything and my parents didn't? In the end, I asked for help from a lawyer, hired him for the rest of my money, and he said that everything was legal and that nothing could be done. Now Ariana is the official owner of everything that was mine. I cried nonstop. My mother just said it was temporary, but I didn't believe them. And while Ariana spent my money, I did not understand how I would continue to live. And then a letter came to us. I saw it first. It was addressed to Ariana. It turned out to be from a lady. I opened it and found out that her mother was actually alive, that she moved to live in a neighboring city and is waiting for her daughter. Can you imagine? They decided to pull off such a scam. I immediately took the letter to my father at work. Dad saw it, read it, and said nothing but, "Go home." I came home outraged and upset, ready to kill my sister. In the evening, some people came to us. They signed something, discussed it, and Dad said that their capital was empty. And then they left, taking something in an envelope. It seemed to me that my whole world had collapsed. I sat down in the room and stupidly sobbed. I was now basically homeless. Then Ariana, Dad, and Mom came into my room. They started to calm me down, and Ariana said, "Calm down. Can I take my fee now?" she asked. My father handed her the same envelope as the other people, and she signed it and kissed me. "Don't worry, they'll explain everything to you," she said, and left. In general, it turned out that she was a hired actress who was supposed to play my father's daughter for the tax service. In general, I didn't quite understand this business, but she left my inheritance to me and left. Business improved, the case turned out well. I almost went crazy from such a circus. Well, what wouldn't you do for business, right?